All right, let's wrap this up. We're getting really close. Just a quick thing. I added at the bottom of the add city function. I just added a console log and then went and got the item my cities from local storage just because I wanted to see what it was. And it's just an array of few objects. And so we've got our first one is an object with an ID, a state, a city, and some chords, which again is exactly what we ended up passing in through our nav bar, right? So when we said go ahead and make this thing, this location, that's where this came from, is we made this thing right here and it pulled that stuff back and then assigned it to our query. Right here is where we actually pushed that location to my cities. So there we go. So now the my cities thing has whatever location we've added there. If we want to go back to the dashboard, we can add a new one. I've been thinking about the World Cup, so we should have Doha. There we go. So that comes back. We got our suspense while it actually loads the weather here. My internet's kind of slow right now, so we got this, and then we can add this, and there we get this whole new thing here. So we got Fairbanks, Chicago, and Doha all right there. So kind of neat. It's a little bit, it seems a lot more pleasant there than it does in Chicago. But yeah, so we get here, we go to our dashboard, and everything's basically working. But what we want to do now is kind of this last step of getting these things back, getting this my cities thing back, looping over them, and displaying them in here. So that's going to be kind of our next thing that we'll be doing. And to do that, we are going to be passing in some functionality to our city within our city list. So right now, you're being a goober, and I'm not sure why it wants me to write that in TypeScript, but I'm not going to. Is this the right thing? All right, yeah, we got that for each city. Actually, it's like it. All right, so we got to finish this up here, right? And we got our requests and our my cities thing here. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a promise that waits until all requests are done. And so we're going to say here const weather data equals, am I in the right component? Yeah, I am. All right, cool. Const weather data equals, I just had a moment because we've got enough things called weather data floating around. Promise dot all requests. So this is going to say, I'm just going to wait until all the requests have resolved, and then we're going to assign that to a value weather data. And then we're going to take that, and we're going to say weather data dot for each, and we're going to take a value and an index, and we're going to loop over those. And we're going to say my cities dot value at each index dot weather equals value dot data. And so we can just console log weather data here. And so this should be our get cities function. And where are we actually calling that here? I think we use it later on in the code. Yeah, await get cities. So we're going to actually, right after this actually. There we go. So once this is done, I'm going to say await get cities. Let's see, I'm trying to figure out exactly where this winds up. Basically we're just making this my cities thing. So the trick is that we have this my cities value here, where we're passing the values, the datas, for each thing in our weather data. We're going to take the value and the data of that in, put that in my cities, and the index is going to loop over starting at 0, obviously, and go through those one by one, and get the weather specifically and set that to our data. And then we're going to have our get cities here, and then we'll have our my cities, again, that gets created here from that data, puts that in, and loops over that city by city. So we should soon be able to refresh this and actually get some data to display. Route is not defined, so we might still need to do a little bit of stuff. Why is it saying route is not defined? We're not using user router yet. So let's go ahead and we're going to finish up our JavaScript. We got one more piece of code here that we're going to do. I'm going to say const router equals use router. And then we're going to say const view city equals, I'm going to pass in a city here for each of these. We're going to have an arrow function, and this will do router.push. And we're going to have push in here name of city. And again, this should, again, be targeting this, right? So we're going to have, again, these params for the state and the city here with what we're doing. Name city, and params will be state, will be city.state, will be city.city. This actually might still be why this stuff is not working, is because it's still trying to ping things, like our city.id. And then we're going to have query, and we're going to have ID will be city.id. Lat will be city.chords.lat, and lawn will be city.chords.lawn. And I desperately wish that these pop-ups would get out of my way, but I am too lazy to figure out what's doing them. And sometimes they're really helpful. So we got this, and then the last thing we're going to do here is we're going to actually toss this into our city component as a prop. Just say at click will be equal to view city, and we're going to pass in our city. And so I think we should be getting closer here now. Just refresh the page altogether. Should be getting that data back. It's got to think. Route is still not defined. At city list view 24. Oh, I bet that's the wrong. I did not format that. Yeah, it should be chords. City.chords. So it's not sure where to look. Chords.lat, and then we should do the same thing here. And again, that's because this is coming from that location object from here, right? So it's going to get those cities back, and then in those my cities, each city in there is going to have a chords value from where we established that in the nav bar when we made that. So that will end up being these chords for lat and lawn. And so that's going to pull those back from there. And now we should actually be considering getting some information. Can't read properties of undefined, reading temp at cities view 1349. Do I have cities? Oh, city.view. I was reading that wrong. City.view, line 13. Main temp. All right, so that's going to be, that's where our error is, whatever that is. And what did I do wrong here? Let's look at this. City.weather.main.temp. And am I still passing in cities correctly? Because it's probably an issue with our props and how we're passing that in. City equals city. View city, city. Let's see, my city is a ref. I got that right. This is one of the tricks, and this is part of the challenge of data, or of making more ornate applications, is naming things well and in ways that make sense. So view city's ID, city, city. That looks like it all should be fine. Pass this in. This is as an object, so that should all be fine there. I'm gonna have a look at this. All right, I think I found it. So we have one call right here, and there's a spattering of console logs floating around here too. So if it looks a smidgen different than what you have, again, I'll have the GitHub link to this later. But this should not be one call. This should actually be weather, because it's actually a different API that we're attaching to here that will bring back that weather. Rather than that one call. I do want to just look up what this is, openweathermap.org data weather with all of you. So open weather map. We're going to do 2.5 weather. So we can get back here, current weather map. So we should get this, and let's just see real quick if it gives us one call or what exactly. So here we have one call for 2.5. And that was actually bringing me back something a little bit different. And so what we're actually going to need here is, I think, probably the newer one. Let's just go to API and see what the 3.0 is. Let's see if that link is any different. Yep, so there we go. So we got one call. And what we're still looking for is weather. So I'm trying to figure out where I even got that from, what page that was on. And it's this one, the weather API. No. Let's go back then and look at this. This is still 2.5. But this should say, when I changed it to weather, suddenly it worked. And if we refresh the page here, we see Fairbanks in Chicago. It takes a second to load, which we're going to do something with that in a bit anyways. And obviously, you can see I've got a spattering of things logged to the console. And it's a little bit confused about some other stuff. There's some view warnings. And this side doesn't have them, which I'm still also a little bit baffled about. But we'll go ahead and we'll keep cruising here, and we'll see if it shows itself here. But yeah, basically, the only thing I really changed was that this said weather instead of one call. And that actually fixed the error. I'm pretty sure that's all that I actually fixed. May have been something else in the nav bar, but I don't think so. I think this is all the same. Now I'm thinking about it. Yeah, this all looks good to me. So, yeah, we'll keep cruising through this city list. Last little bits here. So we're passing our city in now. And that's good. We should be able to, basically, now that we have this, again, if I refresh the page, we just want to make this look a little bit nicer. So go to Fairbanks. I can click on this. It's going to pull that data back from Fairbanks. I get that data, and now it's showing Fairbanks. The low today, according to some accounts, this is just a cold week, goodness gracious. I was seeing somewhere else it was saying negative 40. Yeah, there's the low number 40. I'm not sure why those are different, but that might just be for today, or they might be shifting, or might be because we're on the cheaper API. But yeah, so we should still be able to, add in Doha. Again, for our third one, it's going to take a second to get that information back. We can go there. Yours is probably faster than mine because my internet's not doing great today. Do that, and go back to our data, and we have Doha, and that's all good. So, I'm going to keep cruising here. And let's go ahead and get our suspenses. So we're going to figure out where we put those suspenses. And see what we can do about these. So first we have our dashboard page, and we've got this progress thing here. Actually, let's throw progress in here instead of troubling with suspense, because that keeps showing up, and I really would like to see progress. Let's see what that actually looks like, just as a default, because I haven't messed with it before myself, and so I'm kind of curious. All right, that's pretty terrible. Yeah, so that is actually that progress bar. And it might actually be using some of the scroll stuff that we actually obliterated. So but that's okay. We're not going to use this anyways. We're going to make our own. So we're actually making a new folder. New folder here. We're going to call it skeletons. We're going to make a few skeletons. These are kind of entertaining. So we're going to make a new file, and the first one's going to be called animation.view. And this will just be base 3. It should be easy enough. And let's go ahead and make this one. So what this is this is going to be one of those little, this is going to be one of those little things that we keep seeing kind of going back and forth. We actually don't need a script or anything else. It's just going to be basically an HTML template. And inside of this will be an NBSP, and yep, so it's actually going to be basically a space, non-breaking space is what we're going to have there. And so this is basically just going to be empty. And we're going to say class equals animate pulse background gradient to R, and then from dash gray dash, and we'll do 200 there. And so that's our animation, and then we have to actually utilize this someplace, right? So we're gonna have a couple more skeletons here, and this one will be our cities skeleton dot view, and we go here and VBase. That should be fine. We're not gonna need this, and I should have done setup, but that's okay. That's invalid JavaScript. So cool, we're gonna have this, we're gonna have a class equals flex call, and then flex1. And we're going to have another div in here, div.flex.py-12.items-center. And that actually looks like that worked out correctly. And we're going to have a bunch of animations here. So, and this is, we're going to use a lot of those hard code sizes for our animations to make them do different things. Because we're going to be, again, kind of like telling it what to look like on the screen based on its different shapes. And this shouldn't take super long. We're going to make an animation, and we're going to have class equals max dash width dash 300 pixels, w dash full, and mb dash 2. And then we're going to close that with self-closing tag. That should be fine. We're going to need to import animation from animation. That should be fine. I'm going to do a whole bunch of these, so I'm actually going to copy paste the rest of this because it's basically just a big chunk of Tailwind and these animations. So we get a bunch there, and then we have a div, and we're going to make another div. It'll be flex.flex-call.py-12.items-center. And that needs to execute if it will let me. And in here, we're going to have another animation. And this will be class equals max dash w dash screen dash medium. And then height will be set to exactly 100 pixels. And it'll have width full, and margin bottom will be 12. And like I said, hopefully at this point, even though I haven't specifically taught you how to use Tailwind, hopefully we're picking up a bit on how that works. And we're going to have another one of these. It's going to be identical, except it's going to have px8 at the end of it on the div. So we're going to put this here, and we're going to add px-8. Let's see what that looks like. And so that should be good. We've got import animation, and other than that, that all looks fine to me. Yep. Cool. So what we can actually do now is on our city page right here, instead of this, is we can do we're gonna actually have to import this. So import cities skeleton like that, and then we're gonna put it in here, cities skeleton, and close it. And so now when we visit our cities, computer's having a moment. We're almost done. It's not missing an end tag. You're just taking a long time to wake up. So we should be able to refresh this. It's got to think for a minute, and now we should see that. And that's what we're looking for, where it's kind of pulsing a little bit with that gradient. And yeah, there we go. So now we have that. We got this. We can go to the dashboard, and the dashboard still needs to have its little page there. And so that's going to be kind of the last thing we do here. We'll have this card skeleton. You can just close out of this. They're just warnings, and everything's working fine. Cool. So we need one more of these skeletons. New file, and we're going to call this card skeleton.view. vbase dash setup. There we go. We don't need the style at all. And we're going to import animation. From animation, it should be fine. And this will be very similar to the last one that we did. So I'm just going to copy paste this as well. And put this in like that. And you can pause it and look at it. But we've got hard-coded 50% and 40% for some of these. And then width of 50 and 75 pixels, width full. And that should work out. So this will be just a couple of them in the way, and theoretically we could probably loop over these animations and do something with that to make it relative to the number of things that came back. But I think that's going to have to actually ask how many pieces are in there in the first place. We'd have to keep that saved, like how many items are in our My Cities item, and that could be annoying. So what we'll end up doing, I think this one is card skeleton. where's this gets used? It's in the dashboard page, that's what I thought. So here, we've got this. Instead of our little progress here, we're gonna have to import this. Import card skeleton. That, and then we're gonna use it here. And that will lock in there. And now when we visit this page, we've got that there. I guess if we want to, what if we want, I want like 2 of these. There we go. And now when I visit this page, we should see 2 of them kind of hanging out while it's waiting to pull that data. So the page will load. It's got to think for a moment, unless it deleted things. That would be odd. Something's bugging here. There we go. Go to dashboard, and it should, well, I guess it just kind of went immediately. I'm sort of curious if something got overwritten. This is so bizarre. The exact same thing on my other app, and there's nothing here. So let's go to Chicago. Yeah, it's absolutely furious with me, and I have no clue what I've done. So now it's all mad. Connection refused. Let's try this again. npm run dev 5174. So that's nice. Nobody's mad. All right, cool. So should we go back here? And it is not reading my list. What if I get rid of the second card skeleton? It worked for a second. This should have nothing to do with what's going on here. That's really wild. Man, I'm entertained and excited by this. Well, I guess we can only do one of those. But I guess, I mean, you could put this in here too. Let me just do another one. Do it like that. Should be fine. Yep, nothing wrong there. Go back, go to here. There we go. Now we got the 2 of them, and that works out. I'm guessing that that's something to do with the suspense, that it will only take one thing, or it has to be nested in a certain way. Either have one thing, or in your template you can only have one piece inside of here. So we could probably like put them inside of a div or something like that. I'm not totally sure. This is basically the only way I ever use a suspense, though. At least with Vue. With React, it's a little bit different. But that is basically an application. So we can go and remove Doha here, so that looks nice. You can move the city, and now it shouldn't be in our array. It shouldn't be in our array. I might actually, oh, we may not have finished the remove city functionality yet, but that's just logging something. That is one of the last things we need to do. We will remove this city. Okay, great. So let's go ahead and remove the city. We are 23 minutes in. We can finish this. We can finish this. Let's go to our city list thing, I think, because that's where that was, right? No. Is that our city? No. Our async city view is where we need to do this. Yep, async city. Bottom there. All right, cool. So we got this, and we need to actually create a function that removes the city. We made this down here, but we just didn't have it actually do anything. So this is where we're going to do this. So we're going to use router instead of console.log. This is where we're going to actually start accessing things. So const cities equals json.parse local storage.get item, and we're going to look for my cities. Console.log our cities. Let's just see what that is. Just to have that in there. And then we're going to say const updated cities equals cities.filter. I'm going to take the city that we've selected, and we're going to return city.id, and whether or not that equals the route.query ID. Right, and so that'll be a Boolean. Actually, this part is a Boolean. It's going to filter through the cities where the cities are not equal to the current page. So it's going to actually go through all of them and just say, is this one the current page? Nope. Is this the current page? Nope. Is this one Doha? Yes, this one is Doha. So get rid of that one. And that's how that filter thing works. Pretty nice. And then we will be able to log console.log updated cities. And this will probably fly past our faces pretty quick. I'm just going to say local storage.set item my cities, comma, json.stringify updated cities. And then router.push name, and this will send us to our dashboard component, wherever that is. Cool. And that should be fine. So we should be able to come back here, refresh the page. Again, we've got, it says it's tracking right now, so we should be able to come down here. We'll quick inspect the page and see what happens. But it should show up. And we had an array of 3 and then an array of 2. That disappeared, and that was all good. So, and I click on Fairbanks, remove that. Yep, so the data came through. That's all good. And we shouldn't want to be able to do this again. That would actually end up being kind of some trouble. So we've got Fairbanks in here twice. And so that would be something that if you wanted to kind of extend this application a little bit, add some functionality to it, that would be a really great way to just get some practice with that. Or again, if you're already visiting a page, like if I'm on Fairbanks, what if this would be kind of grayed out and would not actually execute, right? So if you're on this page, then you should be able to figure out how to just check and make sure that that doesn't work. So those would be little things that you could just add a function to the code that would be just good ways to kind of extend your skill set and write some of your own Vue here in your own JavaScript, and that'd be pretty neat. But other than that, this is our website for now. I may update this in the future, so if there's more videos after that, don't yell at me for saying we're almost done, because there are other things that I would like to add to this page, to this website later on in the future. But for right now, this is kind of what it's going to be, and I hope that you've learned a lot and that you feel pretty confident with Vue now, and off you go, make your own projects. Peace.